For anyone buying a Realme phone herein after the launch of the Realme 10 Pro series, will have to live with the new Realme UI 4.0 based on Android 13. So I've decided to start a new series where I review and rate every new software version so that it becomes easier for you, the consumer, to actually make a purchase decision. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly aspects of Realme UI 4.0, which will help you decide if this is the software experience that you want to live with. And for future software updates, well, we'll update our reviews accordingly, but that's for later. If you don't know me yet, I'm Arshad. You're watching Trakin Tech English. Let's begin. So starting off with the good things, of course, the best part about the software is that it is smooth and fast in everyday usage. And more importantly, it works really fast even with, budget and mid-range devices. In fact, you can also change the animation speeds from within the settings itself, and you can make your apps close or open faster. So all the three sister companies, Oppo, OnePlus, and Realme, follow something called an aquamorphic design for this year's software updates. It's a very modern, clean-looking design with clean-looking icons, and of course, good font design as well. In fact, there's a stacked card layout that's been used within the settings app, and that kind of looks good too. I like the kind of kerning, the spaces, and everything that's been used. It looks all very professional. Always on display has been improved. It's more feature rich. Now, of course, you need an OLED screen for it. So yeah, 10 Pro Plus it works. 10 Pro, of course, it won't. And on the always on display, you also get Spotify integration, which means that you can control music from the always on display itself. Apart from that, you also get Android 13's music playback controls within the notifications shade, and from there itself you can play, pause music, change the songs, all of that. Android 13's privacy features are of course here as well. You get clear indicators of which apps have used your camera or your mic. And of course, there's Google's very own privacy dashboard, which is intuitive and visually attractive. But for privacy, what I like is that Realme has quite a few extras. For example, you do get an app lock feature. Then there's also the system clone setting, which lets you have a clone of the same system so that you can have your confidential work happening on that clone. And then, you can come back to the main system whenever you have something that's open and ready for everyone to see. But private safe is the one that's definitely very, very useful. You can save your confidential photos, images, documents, files, all of that within this private safe itself, and it's of course password locked as well. There are plenty of options for customizations. You can pick a static wallpaper, you can pick a dynamic wallpaper, you can also pick the color of the system based on the wallpaper like you can do on Android. All of that is very, very useful, and of course there's a whole lot more where you can change the font. You can also change the icon pack, which I find it very, very useful. There are a couple of new customization features that have been added in Realme UI 4.0. Of course, enlarged folders is here, which means that you can have a larger folder with bigger icons inside it. I wish YouTube had an option for enlarged subscribe button. That'd be cool, right? Because you guys would at least notice it then and hit the subscribe button, because we need all your support. It'd be great if you could do that, and maybe even like and comment below for the sake of the YouTube algorithm. And there's also something called a dynamic widgets, which probably is coming soon, because the current version, on the Indian version of Realme UI 4.0, I don't see any available at the moment. Some good features from Oxygen OS have now been ported over to Realme UI, because obviously they might be ported over to Color OS as well. So that's basically the code sharing that's happening at the moment. Firstly, you've got integration for OnePlus's shelf within the system itself, and you've got that Zen mode app as well, which I find very, very useful. Or, on occasions when I don't want to use the phone and for it to distract me when I'm getting some work done. Also, the AOD now has the option for you to add the Insight AOD theme within Realme UI as well. The one-handed mode, I don't know if this is new, but it's very easy to invoke and easy to use as well. So when you're using a big Realme phone, then it comes in handy. There are a bunch of existing features. Now, floating windows, that's been changed into flexible windows now, because of course they are far more freer to move around and freer to resize. So it's definitely very useful. And of course, there's split screen and the smart sidebar as well, both of which of course very useful features for those who want it. And then there are these special modes for when you want to hand over the phone to a kid in the house or to an elderly member in the house. There's a kids mode and a simple mode as well. Plus, Realme has always had a Realme Lab option where it sort of experiments with a lot of features. There's dual audio, which I find very, very useful. Basically, you can connect a wired earphone to your phone and a wireless earphone to your phone at the same time, and you can share music with your friend, and that'll be really cool. Then there's the sleep capsule feature, which I feel is kind of useless because it's basically just digital well-being but stripped down. And if you have a Realme phone with an optical in-display fingerprint scanner, you can also try to measure your heart rate. I don't think it's going to be very accurate, but it's there. Closing off with a new feature which I found very, very useful is that if you take a screenshot and if there's sensitive information in it like phone numbers or Aadhaar card number or stuff like that, you can pixelate it, and it's called auto pixelate, but I didn't see the pixelation happening automatically, but you do get the option to manually pixelate it as well, and I find that very, very useful. Now those were all the good things. Now let's move on to the bad and the ugly. I'm sure that a lot of you already know about a few of these things, but I've gone in real detail for this one specifically, so let's take a look. The bad actually starts with the setup process itself. Once you reach the legal information page, the optional options are actually checked, and I just find that completely bonkers. Why would they have that checked by default? Shouldn't it be off? It's optional, right? Give the user the choice, and most users will probably just skip past it, but it's okay. I mean, just be careful when you're setting up the phone. Now coming to the recommended page, and this one has glance and personalized search ticked by default. Now I would suggest that you switch off glance because it's a lock screen wallpaper recommendation engine. It just keeps recommending stuff, and it's on your lock screen, so it's not very private either. So I don't think it's useful for anybody, and if you care for your privacy even a little bit, switch it off. And definitely switch off personalized search, because what this does is Realme has actually partnered with a company called Branch Metrics to sort of give you personalized search results like the name suggests. So it basically tracks your usage and recommends apps accordingly. That's of course problematic, because even when we are using Instagram and Facebook, we lament about the fact that we get served ads based on our usage and the algorithm is tracking us. But this is a phone, we're actually paying for it. Why should a hardware be tracking your usage to show you personalized search results? You should not have that on by default. And what becomes worse is the dark patterns that emerge when you try to switch it off. So within the setup page, when you try to toggle off the personalized search option, you will not have an option to turn it off. You will have an option for later and turn on in bold. I'm trying to turn it off, not turn it on. And once you're done with the setup process, you start your phone and you open the app drawer and the personalized search pop-up pops up. And again, there is no option for you to turn it off. There's only an option for you to cancel. You have to cancel it 3 times, and after that you get the do not show again options. That's when you can tick it off and it will never disturb you again. And honestly, you know what? Realme is not going to remove this personalized search option because it's going to be some sort of licensing deal that it has with brand metrics to capture user data. So it's useful for them. That's the way they sort of offset the cost of the hardware as well. But yeah, I mean, my data is important to me. I think it should be to you as well. And once you started the phone, the app market, which is separate from the Play Store, keeps throwing notifications at you. Now, every time you install a new app, you have to sit through Realme's very own private search, which again, has a lot of ads. And now coming to the really ugly aspect of the software, and that is hot apps and hot games. Now, hot apps and hot games are a part of the app market itself, but they are on your home screen and within the app drawer on by default. And you'll be like, oh my god, hot apps and hot games must be really good recommendations. Then you'll go and open it and you will be greeted with some really shady and vulgar recommendations. Now, Realme has of course said that they will fix the kind of recommendations that hot apps and hot games gives you, but they haven't said that they're going to remove hot apps and hot games. It's going to be there and the recommendations are going to be there, which is also annoying to begin with if you ask me. And if you have to switch it off, you have to go into the app market, into the settings, and somewhere down below there'll be an option to switch it off. This is not something that everybody will know in real life, so share this video with them. And by the way, they should just stop this entirely. Just stop it. No need to have it. And after that, something really annoyed me even more. Like, the recommendations just wouldn't stop. Once I opened the app drawer and there was this random ass card waiting for me and it said app lovin' app recommendations. I mean, it's just overwhelming after a point of time, Realme. Please don't do this. And for users out there, just go to the manage app drawer option and toggle off every setting. And finally, the phone has 66 pre-installed apps by default, 12 of which are third-party apps, some useful, most not useful, and almost all of them uninstallable, so that's okay. So Realme UI 4.0 in its current state is not in its ideal experience by default. You will have to tweak and tune a lot of settings for you to have the optimum experience, and all of which I've actually mentioned in this video. And the problem with Realme UI in general is that whether it's a 10,000 rupee phone, whether it's a 50,000 rupee phone, their software experience is, consistent throughout, which means that consistently you will be getting recommendations, and your data will be being shared, all of those things. So yeah, that's a problem. But when you've cleaned everything up, it's one of the better, cleaner visual experiences out there, which is why I feel really bad about the fact that this is what this current state is. So Realme UI 4.0 from us gets a 3 stars out of 5, which could have easily been a 4 or a 4.5 stars if it didn't have such heavy-handed ads and recommendations based engine. Now, if Realme does fix these problems in future updates for any of their line of phones, then we will definitely revisit this review and probably make another one. But what did you guys think of this? I think it was very detailed. I hope it was useful. And if you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to Trakin Tech English. Until next time, this is Ashad signing off. Keep tracking and stay safe.